Sweden, the land of midnight sun, endless forests, and over 100,000 lakes. A country that stretches more than 1,500 kilometers from south to north. So long that the climate at each end feels like two different worlds. Nearly 75% of Sweden's road network is unpaved. That's right, 3 out of 4 roads are gravel, forest tracks or dirt lanes. For riders like us, that means one thing: adventure. Last year I went to the Alps and to England on the BMW 1150 RT. This year we're going to do it a little bit different. I bought the 1200 GS, and with this I'm going to ride the TET in Sweden. There is just one problem. I've never really ridden gravel. I've never ridden a proper single track. And I've certainly never taken a fully loaded BMW R1200GS through terrain like this. Yet, that's exactly what I'm about to do. My challenge? Ride the Swedish Trans Euro Trail from Malmö to Karlstad, without dropping the bike. And if everything goes to plan, make it to the legendary Saab museum in Trollhättan before it's time to head home. This isn't a story about an expert pushing his limits. It's about a beginner discovering where those limits actually are. Let's find out if I'm ready.
A good time to start when everything is ready and set to go. Oh, maybe it's a good idea to put this in my backpack. Yeah, so I have 3 panniers and a small suitcase or a bag, let's say. See, everything fits. It's just enough, but to be honest, if I have to do some shopping, I don't have a clue where I have to put it. We just started, but the experience here in Sweden is one of a kind. Of course, the Alps, they were beautiful, but for this you have to have another set of skills. You see, I don't have any. God, I'm acting as a granny right now. I still have to get used to the gravel roads. For a holiday, I chose not to go to the southern of Europe because it's way too hot. And I think Scandinavia now at this moment, time of year in August, it has perfect weather conditions. Especially for someone that is starting off-road. What attracts me most is you're just all by yourself. There is nobody around you. We cannot imagine this in Holland. Even if you go on a path like this in Holland, still there are people everywhere. So it's also kind of an escape to do the TET of Sweden, just to settle my mind for a bit. And this is my cup of tea. Look at this. That is one of the first spots I encounter on the TET Sweden. I already saw some churches and stuff, but it's not as impressive as this. So I downloaded the GPX from the TET website, and then you just import it to your app and it shows you where to go. The GPS is a little bit lost because of driving through the forest, I think. I'm just wondering, like, what kind of setup do you use? What works for you? What doesn't work? What did you try out so far yourself? I'm going to install a tablet mount when I'm back home, that's for sure. And I just want to place it on top of here. Then remove those 2 mounts which are now installed there. For a beginner, it's not too bad. At least this part, it's perfectly doable for a beginner doing TET route. Yeah, that's something I promised myself, not to do the too heavy parts. Like as long as it's like these gravel paths combined with the tarmac, it's fine. But I don't want to get into really deep because this bike is way too heavy. That would get myself into trouble, and I'm all alone. So if my bike drops, then I have a big problem.
5 minutes later.
Okay, this is very tight. But it's all dry, so I don't have to worry that I will get stuck in a puddle or something.
When I saw that trail disappear into the forest, I was convinced that this was going to be the moment I dropped the bike. It was narrow, there were roots, and loose gravel. Would an experienced off-road rider have laughed at how slow I was? Yeah, probably. But here's the thing. Some hours ago, I wasn't even sure I even belonged on the Trans Euro Trail, but now I do. Not because I'm good at it, but because I kept going.
It can be a bit intimidating, these kind of paths, I'm honest. But as long as you just keep it cool, you will be fine.
I think that's the biggest lesson so far. Adventure riding isn't about having all the skills before you leave home. It's about having the courage to learn them along the way.
Finding grip, at least not losing grip. Oh, yeah. Sliding. So, just want to show you how I settled for the first night in Sweden. My motorbike is here, and I put the tent right here at the lake. And if I don't talk, it's almost perfectly silent. I'm stunned by the things I've been encountering so far. It's breathtaking, and that you can just put up your tent right here, wherever you want. It is amazing. We are used to camping sites in the rest of Europe, where someone dictates you where to put your tent. And here, well, you have total freedom. So I think I will have a good rest, and I see you tomorrow.
Good morning on the second day of the TET of Sweden. I imagine it will be a fantastic continuation of the route. It's only getting better. But first, I get a coffee.
All right, everything is packed. The tent stuff I put in this. This bag is for clothes, and these two are for, well, several other stuff. And here I have the stuff that I mostly need on the way. Everything is loaded up except for this battery pack, but I will do it on the way. I will load it with my improvised USB cable. But yeah, I can put it in here, then load the power pack, or I put it here on the phone to charge it. So anyway, I have power, because that is important. If you do a trip like this, always make sure you have a possibility to charge your stuff. The more the better, I would even say. There we go. Just one side over this beautiful lake. First, let's get back on the TET route. Oh, wow, it's so amazing to have a house here, right? In the middle of the nature. Alright, over here I went straight down to the lake. Okay. Seems we start on tarmac here. So that's always a good thing, to start easy. So yesterday already gave me a nice experience on gravel. So as I said before, it's my first time on gravel roads. Well, this definitely makes you a better rider. And if you're hesitating to do trails like these, don't worry. Everybody can do this, as long as you learn, keep patience, and have good gear. And that last thing is even important as the first two, because going with bad gear gives you problems anyway. A good tent, good sleeping bag, so you will not get cold, or if it starts heavy raining, you at least keep dry, very important. Don't save money on those things, really, don't. You don't need a lot for good camping, but the stuff you need, make sure it's good quality. Because if you grab a simple tent or a cheap tent, you will regret it after the first time it starts raining. We are ending section 4 almost, getting into section 5, so the navigation, I'm not sure if you can see it, but that black dot is the start of section 5 already.
Before setting off this morning, I noticed something that wasn't ideal. My fuel tank was already at below half. Normally that wouldn't worry me too much, but out here, fuel stations aren't exactly around every corner. So I checked the map and saw one further along today's route. Perfect, I thought. I'll just fill it up there. So I headed back into the trail. The further I rode, the quieter it became. No villages, no traffic, just endless forests. And my fuel gauge slowly moving in the wrong direction.
I just passed the spot where there should be a fuel station, but there wasn't. But now in 800 meters there should be one.
It's funny how your mind works. At first you're enjoying the scenery, and then suddenly every kilometer feels twice as long. Every road sign makes you hope you'll see that little fuel pump symbol. And then, there it was. I've never been so happy to see a petrol station.
And it's actually a pretty big one, it seems.
I don't think the BMW was as relieved as I was, but from now on, one thing was certain. In Sweden, you don't wait until you need fuel. You fill up whenever you get the chance. Lesson learned.
All right, good to go. Directly we go into forest. Oh yeah, I can smell the pine trees here. It gives something extra. It's the smell, it's the look. It really gives me the feeling I'm away from home. That was something I didn't encounter. I have to watch the road instead of talking. So I'm wondering, I see this everywhere, those M signs. To be honest, I don't have a clue what they are for. If anybody can tell me what they are for, then please leave it in the comments. So I think we are currently on section 6 of the TET route.
The landscape has changed a little bit, like still a lot of trees but more open. And here is only tarmac. Still beautiful, just faster track here. And as you can probably see, I have the sun in my back and it is right on my screen of my telephone. Sometimes it's hard to read the map that way.
So I just stopped for a moment. We are at the 9th segment almost, so making some progress. I stopped here because there is an old heritage site.
I'm walking through Hurle Hergaard, one of Småland's best preserved historic manor estates. The story of this place began in 1659, when an ironworks was established here. The manor itself was completed in 1746 as the residence of the ironworks owner. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Sweden was one of Europe's leading exporters of iron. Estates like Hurle were the administrative center of entire industrial communities. The surrounded forests supplied charcoal, while the nearby river provided water power for production. The wealth generated by the iron industry is reflected in the manor's elegant architecture. Today, Hurle Hergaard is a protected cultural monument and an important reminder of Swedish industrial heritage. It's a quiet place now, but more than 350 years ago, this was a thriving center of industry.
After the industrial revolution it was built up, but then at some point it was not used anymore as a mill. I'm not sure if they actually use it for electricity or something. I'm going to eat a little bit and then we will continue on this 9th segment. I think I will take a longer stop soon, just to rest a little bit, give my butt a little bit of rest too, and then from there, yeah, we will see.
One thing I want to say is it seems that the Swedish people are very, very friendly. So yesterday I arrived at this lake where I want to put up my tent. And so here in Sweden you can put your tent wherever you want, basically. So there are some rules, of course, but you can put it anywhere. But still, so next to the spot at the lake there was this small summer house, and the guy was actually there. So to be sure, I asked him if it would be okay to put my tent there, and he was like, "Yeah, of course, no problem. Yeah, and where are you from?" So I told the whole story, also that the TET route is passing his summer house. And he was so polite and interested, and yeah, all the people you meet, they are friendly, and so far no exceptions. So I feel very welcome here as well. Oh, I have to slow down here a bit. Just passing a lake, by the way. Yeah, I still have to be a bit careful because sometimes I feel the bike is sliding a bit. Sometimes on the front, sometimes on the back. And when you're not very experienced, you are still a bit struggling how to correct it. Like here as well. So you have a really small, clean track here. And if you get off it, then you slide easily. Like here it's much wider, you see? I think now and then they put new gravel, and then it's very slippery. but it's to prevent the potholes, I guess. Okay, we are on the last part for today. I think it's already section number 10, and this section is the last section of the segment. So you see we are on segment 1, and this segment will end there. Yeah, after riding for like 7-8 hours, of course you're getting a bit tired, you're not that much concentrated anymore, so then it's a good time to actually find a place for the night.
I wasn't planning to stay at the campsite tonight. Instead, I found a small shelter near Isaberg, at least according to the map.
Oh shit, that's what I mean. We got the wrong road, I guess.
And there was just one question. Could I actually find it, because it was in the middle of the woods? There was only one way to find out.
I didn't see that there was a split, but let's turn. Always be careful with turning uphill. I made one mistake, I will never do it again. But where did I need to go then? I didn't see a path going somewhere else. Here? Oh, here. Uh-huh. Okay, yeah, that one I didn't see. Yeah, that was tricky. Okay. Then this must be the right one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, now we are joining the right road. But Jesus me. Well, there are big rocks everywhere here. Okay, that was the hardest part. Yeah, so everything dried up here, but imagine in the autumn there are puddles of water everywhere here. I hope my yogurt is not splattered everywhere in my suitcase, in my pannier. Yeah, I'm getting overexcited. I'm only doing 60, but okay. Ah, there it is. The Isaberg. Ah, it's right in front of us now. So in winter times, this is a ski resort. And yeah, so as I said, there is a camping site here. I just want to have a stop here for the toilet. Oh, it's actually very crowded here. Holy. I thought Sweden wasn't so crowded, but it seemed to be wrong. Okay, I cannot go straight, I have to go here. Oh, classic 900. Toilets here. Near this road. Check for myself where I actually need to go, but I will just follow this path until the lake. straight. Perfect. And there's absolutely nobody. Fantastic.
So it's time to put up my tent here. I found already a nice spot. It's right here. It's nice and flat. I will have something to eat and then we'll take a rest for the rest of the night. I was thinking about taking a swim, but probably not. Maybe I will do it on the next spot. Yeah, there's everything a wild camper needs in here. And the most important thing, there is nobody and it's totally quiet. It's not as quiet as the last spot, I have to say, because there is the resort close, the ski resort, and also in the summer it seems to be very crowded, as you already saw in the parking place. But for the rest, for me, it's perfect. So I'm going to chill. And I will see you tomorrow.
Alright folks, day 3 on the Swedish TET. I had company of some German people taking all the wood blocks for the fireplace. So yesterday I made my own. I'm now to the nearest town to fuel up and then we start the second part of the TET. Oh, it seems in the next village there is already a gas station, so why not fuel up here? So the meter says it's still full, but I will just fill it up completely just to be sure. So I just click on this first segment and then right to this route, and then it gives me automatically the route to the starting point. And I do resume. And now I'll put it back in the slot. I really love Sweden so far. People are friendly. It's easy to find a shelter or a place for the night to put your tent. No need to stay on crowded camping sites like I experienced in the Alps. So far it's only plus. I need to go in. Okay. It starts immediately pretty rough, it seems. Yeah, because here are stones. Oh yeah, this is already that was just this small part. Right into the countryside. That's how we love it, right? Hello, good morning. I already checked 2 Saabs so far. Yeah, I have something with Saab, I know.
Seeing that old Saab instantly caught my attention. I've always had a soft spot for these cars. In fact, I've been driving Saabs ever since I got my driver license at the age of 19. Even today, I still own 2 of them.
So I got the 9.3 V6 Aero, the sports sedan, and I have an older model 9.3, which has a full pressure turbo, 2 liter.
They couldn't be more different, but they both have that unmistakable Saab character that I've grown to love over the years. That's also one of the reasons why this trip is extra special to me. Right now, my focus is still on reaching Karlstad and completing the Swedish TET. But after that, there's only one more place I've wanted to visit for years: the Saab Museum in Trollhättan. Ever since I became a Saab enthusiast, it's been on my bucket list. Anyway, the museum can wait. Right now, there's still plenty of gravel between me and Karlstad.
Now let's focus on our route again today. I'm just interested if this second part will be much different than the first one. Of course, I expect a lot of forests again. But maybe the trail will get a little bit more difficult, I don't know. So far it's very good to do, even as a beginner.
Alright, we're having a quick stop here because I just passed something very beautiful. And that is this amazingly looking dam. It's probably one of those old water mills that clearly became out of service for a long time ago. But be careful for the crocodiles. Okay, let's continue.
So I hope that my English isn't too bad, because it's of course not my main language. But I try to make the best of it, and I was hesitating to switch over to Dutch again, because it's much easier for me to talk in Dutch, of course, and express also my emotions along the way. Because if I need to talk in English, I still have to think how to say and what to say and how to correctly express the thoughts and the feelings I have at the moment. And it can sometimes be difficult, but I hope it's not too disturbing. And I really want to continue the English channel.
I have a little issue because the battery of my helmet it's empty. So I have my starter booster, and it has some USB connections. So with this I'm trying to load up my helmet, so it's actually possible to talk with you guys. So far this next segment, or this next part I have to say, it's more technical. It has a variation of open areas combined with forests. It's a little bit different than the first part. I was on a path with very big gravel stones. It's a bigger deal than this small ones, of course, but it handled okay. It's getting pretty warm here. Didn't expect that, but I think in the sun it's easily 25 degrees. Yeah, let's hop on. amazing sight here. So over here is the shelter, and it's looking out over the lake, and it's totally amazing here. I think this is the best spot so far. Look at this. So I'm going for a swim because it's pretty warm, and I've been riding all day now. It was a great ride with some technical parts in it. I actually did like it. For now I'm going to relax again, but I'm sure that will be the case here. I think over here is the small beach where I can take the swim. Well, I put on the fireplace and the smoke is actually going directly over my motorcycle. It was a very beautiful day, and I always manage to find a very great spot to camp here in Sweden. So I will relax at the fireplace over here, and then we see each other tomorrow. Good morning everyone, on the 4th day of the TET. I just woke up 5 minutes ago. I'm already dressed in my riding gear because it's a bit colder than yesterday, and yeah, it's a little bit drizzling rain, also pretty clouded. Look at the lake now and compare it to how it was yesterday. Almost looks like a different world. Here is the toilet house, and yeah, dare to sit here. There's no toilet paper as well, so it's good that I always take something with me on the way. But yeah, there wasn't any, so we'll show you the route I'm planning for today. So my plan is to go around here, and then probably from here I go down this road. And here in Trollhättan, that's where the Saab museum is, and I definitely want to see it. Today we will finish around Karlstad, that's the plan. I pack everything and let's go.
Let's see if I don't forget anything. Nope. Much colder than yesterday, but as long as it is not raining, I'm okay. But we see the clouds and I'm not so sure. So there are always enough shelters along the route, so that's not something to worry about. Just be sure that with every supermarket in the neighborhood that you visit, just buy some stuff. That's way more important, and it's the same for gas. So in general, fuel for yourself and fuel for the bike is generally the most important, because you don't want to get hungry, and you definitely don't want to get without any fuel. My experience so far with riding solo is that it's one, it's doable. Two, you can totally ride your own ride, meaning you don't have to like ride in the tempo of the slowest, let's say. And three, yeah, you can make all the decisions by yourself, and that's something that gives me the extreme freedom experience. Like when I would do this in a group, then definitely it would be impact on my personal freedom, let's say. The downside, of course, is that when you go with friends, then you always have a backup. So if all of a sudden you would drop your bike, there's always help for you to get it up. And also there is the sharing of your experience. And I found out with my trip to the Alps, when I met another motorcyclist and he was going the same direction, and we were riding for some days. It was really nice to share that experience. So I don't say one thing is better than the other, but both have like pros and cons. And I'm interested in your thoughts about this. So leave a comment if you want. But after a few days on the gravel, yeah, I really got a lot of more confidence. My corners are getting better and better. I can anticipate much better. And I'm not like stressing out when the bike is sliding or whatever, because you know how to correct it.
5 minutes later.
Okay, that was... I'm still not really awake. Okay, I should focus on my riding and not on my storytelling. Yeah, so this part of the trail is mainly this experience. Wide gravel paths going through forest. I have this for at least 30 kilometers now. And here and there is a house. You really have to slow down, otherwise people are getting angry. But in general, Swedish people are one of the friendliest I've met in Europe. Okay.
The trail suddenly came to a stop.
Don't know what to do here.
I had no idea what was going on here. There was a barrier across the gravel road, and for a moment I wondered if the route was closed. A few minutes later, a woman walked over and explained what was happening.
Sorry? Okay, sure.
The horses were about to cross from one part of the farm to another, using the gravel road as their crossing.
We just wait patiently. It's okay, don't worry. I have time enough. I have enough time, so...
I'm usually much earlier, but today it's...
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the things I love about trips like this. When you're riding the Trans Euro Trail, you're not just passing through nature, you're passing through people's lives. Sometimes that means stopping for a herd of horses, and that's perfectly fine with me. Almost arriving in Kristinehamn, I knew I was getting close to the end of the Swedish Trans Euro Trail. One last stretch of gravel, one last forest, and then...
Okay, so we have a roadblock here.
Not exactly the ending I had imagined. This road was closed.
What can we do?
So there was only one option, a short detour around the obstacle. Maybe that's quite fitting, really. No adventure ever goes exactly according to plan. And just like that, the gravel came to an end. The Swedish TET was behind me. Ahead of me, Karlstad.
I'm actually not going to take a stop in Karlstad. I'm just going to take a look there, right through the center. Then from there we ride to the shelter. And the shelter is like 3/4 of the route to Trollhättan.
When I started this journey in Malmö, I had only one question in my mind. Could a beginner off-road rider make it all the way to Karlstad on a fully loaded BMW R1200GS without dropping the bike? Well, here I am. The bike is still standing and I'm still standing. And somehow I have done it. So I think this deserves a small celebration. I made it to Karlstad. No crashes, no injuries. Well, at least not physically. I've definitely had a few moments where my confidence took a hit, but that's all part of learning.
So what do we do? I think I will just continue then. I would love to show you the city, but yeah, it's only possible to go on a bike or by walking, and I'm not going to do that.
Reaching Karlstad was the first goal of this trip, but it isn't the end of the adventure. Tomorrow I will be heading to Trollhättan, not only to finally visit the Saab museum, but also to see what is left of the original Saab factory. As someone who's been driving Saab since I was 19, that's something I've always wanted to do for a very long time. But first, it's time to slow things down.
Can I pass the tree here? I think I can.
I found a shelter besides a lake near Arbol, where I will be spending the night.
Then it's right here. Oh, wow. Oh, it's beautiful again. Wow. But the wind is right on the spot here, but look at this. That will not drop. Yeah, perfect.
Tomorrow begins the final chapter of this adventure. Tonight, I'm just going to enjoy the fact that I actually made it here.
Good morning, internet friends. I woke up half an hour ago. I packed everything here on the side. We are off to Trollhättan. We are going to visit the Saab museum. This is something that is for a very, very, very long time on my wish list. So I'm very excited.
All right, let's go, people. Starting without any hassle. Although it was a bit windy, it's still a very beautiful place here. With some small boats. Oh, this gives you a perfect feeling of freedom. So let me know in the comments if you are planning to go to Sweden for a trip, and also do you like to ride the trails? Because in my experience, even for a beginner, it's really doable. It's usually paths like these, so not too hard. Sometimes you have like a single track, but that is really rare so far. I don't know how it will be if you go further to the north, of course. But the first two segments are really doable. And it's good to have some challenge, but not like the whole route. So if it's just for a few kilometers or something, it's fine. But you don't want to do that all day, because then your back will be broken once you are back home.
And there it is, Trollhättan. After hundreds of kilometers of gravel roads, forests, small villages, and one challenge after another, it almost feels strange to be back in the city. But this isn't just another stop on the trip. Ever since I bought my first Saab, visiting the Saab museum has been high on my bucket list. The company may no longer build cars, but its history is still very much alive here. Crossing this bridge almost feels like crossing a finish line. The TET challenge is behind me, and now it's finally time to see the place I have been looking forward to since I started planning this journey.
Nevs, it's on the signs.
I honestly can't wait to walk through those doors.
So, this is it.
So we're now in front of the museum. Let's take a look what's inside.
Walking into the Saab museum feels a little surreal. After all the gravel roads, forests and challenges of the past few days, this is where the journey was always meant to be end. I've owned quite a few Saabs over the years, but I'd never actually been here. So finally standing amongst the cars that built the brand is a very special moment. For Saab, it all started with the Saab, a prototype created by an aircraft manufacturer that knew almost nothing about building cars. Yet, that aviation background shaped everything Saab became. You can see it in the streamlined designs, the focus on safety, and the willingness to change convention. As you walk through the museum, You can follow the evolution of the brand. The concept cars show you just how bold Saab's engineers really were. They weren't afraid to explore ideas that seemed impossible at the time, and many of those ideas eventually found their way into production cars. The museum also tells Saab's story through its engines. From the characterful two-stroke engines of the early years to the turbocharged four-cylinders that became Saab's trademark, and later the V6 engines. Each one represents another chapter in a company that never stopped innovating. But if I had to pick one car that really captures the spirit of Saab, it would be the Aero X. Even though it was unveiled back in 2006, it still looks like something from the future. The fighter jet-inspired canopy instead of conventional doors, the clean interior, the dramatic styling, it was a concept that showed what Saab believed the future could look like. Looking at it today, nearly 20 years later, it is amazing how modern it still feels. Walking through these halls, it's impossible not to wonder what Saab might be building today if the company had survived. But perhaps that's what makes this museum so special. It's more than a collection of cars. It's a reminder of a brand that never wanted to be ordinary. Leaving the museum, I couldn't help but smile. It was everything I hoped for it would be, and after completing the TET, it felt like the perfect reward. But there's one more place I want to see before leaving Trollhättan. Just a few kilometers from here stands the factory where these cars were once built. So after a quick walk through the city center, it's time to visit what remains of one of the most iconic car factories in Sweden.
Okay, well, there's also nothing to see here. Just two old navs. See there, two navs. Rebranded 9.3s.
Standing outside the factory was a strange experience. I had imagined the place buzzing with activity, where thousands of Saabs once rolled off the production line. Instead, it felt quiet, almost forgotten. There are still traces of what used to be here, but it's impossible to ignore how much has changed.
There's another nav.
As a Saab enthusiast, that was a little disappointing. But perhaps also what makes the museum so important. It keeps the spirit of the brand alive, even if the factory no longer can. After visiting Trollhättan, I visited my next shelter spot. Sitting there, I realized this trip had become about much more than riding gravel roads or visiting a museum. A few days ago, I was wondering if I could even make it through my first real TET without dropping the bike. And now, sitting here in this shelter place, having completed that challenge and finally crossed another item of my bucket list. Sometimes the destination is exactly what you hoped it would be. Sometimes it isn't. But it's a journey between those places that creates the memories you'll remember for years. And this adventure gave me plenty of those. The ride home is another 900 kilometers, but the adventure ended here. I'll see you in the next adventure.